call to order our agenda meeting of June the 7th. Our regular meeting will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance from Vice Chairman Wayne Aycock. We will need a motion to approve the minutes of May 17th. Any adjustments to our agenda?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We do have a resolution that Commissioner Williams has asked us to place on in honor of Juneteenth. And so I'll let Commissioner Williams.
Yes, we won't have an opportunity Juneteenth to actually our next meeting to discuss and talk about the proclamation of Juneteenth. So I'm asking the board if they'll approve the proclamation of Juneteenth.
Have we got a copy of that?
Kayla's working on it.
Okay.
Right. And if the board's like, if we can put under consent, new business, whatever the board
Yeah,
says.
if we will, just put it on consent. I'm good with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Was that item 15?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's the only changes that I have at this time.
What about this draft resolution for the House bill?
That is a revised resolution of what you have in your agenda packets. Our attorney made some minor changes to it, and we sent that to the Board of Education last night, and they did approve it 7-zip.
It was modified?
It was minor modification with just some minor word changes.
Okay, all right. But that is actually already on our consent agenda.
Yes, sir.
Item 13, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and then we'll move on to special presentations.
Dr. Kroom will be here with Mount Olive University, and Dr. Kroom just wanted to give an update on activities that are occurring at UMO. And then we'll have the appointment committee.
And there are some appointments.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
And then at 9:15, we'll have a public hearing to receive public comments regarding the sale of county-owned industrial shell building located at 400 Challen Court in Goldsboro to the Hasakawa Custom Processing Services. Will consider the sale of the property for $2 million.
Okay.
And then at 9:30, we will receive public comments on the proposed budget for the Wayne County for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2022. And I do have a presentation, an updated slide presentation from the original manager's recommended budget.
Okay, and then after your presentation, we'll hear from speakers.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then under unfinished business, motion to approve recommendation for change to county payroll schedule, and that's on pages 12 and 14. Allison, did you want to?
Yes, so we have done our survey, and it was out for 2 weeks to all part-time and full-time employees. If they did not have access to a computer, HR did make their offices available for people to come in and complete the survey. We had 559 respondents, and it was, let's see here. It was 62% in favor of biweekly payroll, with 38% being in favor of staying on monthly. So unless you all have any other concerns, what we would like to do is receive approval from you all to move forward with a plan to transition to biweekly, and what we would come back to you with the actual transition date. We do need a little bit of time to look at logistics and staffing and work with our departments on how this will turn around for us, and then we would come back to you all for an official transition date, if you're all okay with that.
So how many employees do we have?
We have roughly 1,000, give or take, with full-time and part-time.
1,000 total?
Right. It's a little more than that, but I mean, that's rounding it
So
off.
basically, we had half respond.
We did.
So the other half, we just.
Usually if you can get, 50 to 60% on any type of survey or poll, that's a pretty good representation.
I mean, the only other option we thought of is just leaving it out there longer. We did send out reminder emails and asked department heads to make sure they shared it with their employees. So, I mean, that's the only other way we could think of to communicate with them and ensure that they had access to that survey.
The other 400, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Ginger, did the employees that you talked to, did they really understand what we're trying to do?
Yes, sir, they seem to. Yes, sir.
So out of 440 left, do they have regular access to email?
If they didn't, then we had basically an open lab available for them to be able to complete it. And
What I'm saying is how they found out about it had to come from their supervisor.
it is a responsibility of department heads, and we communicated that specifically to department heads. So if an employee did not know about it, that would be on the supervisor.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. If the supervisor wants it one way,
I would say I would probably disagree with that. But I think the supervisor, regardless of their personal opinion, would have forwarded out the information.
okay, I just want to make sure we don't have, an uprising of
If
440 plus
a
people.
supervisor did not, and we find out about that, that'll be an issue we'll have with the supervisor.
That's what I wanted you to hear.
Okay.
Because I've had that question posed to me by some employees.
Right.
So thank you.
All right, with that in mind, is there anyone that would like to make the motion to approve?
So moved.
Well, we're not at this time. Whenever we get to it. All right. All right, and then consent agenda.
Number one is application for present use value, and that is recommended by our tax administrator for approval.
Okay.
And number two, application for property tax exclusion. Again, that has been recommended for approval by our tax administrator.
Okay.
And then number three is budget amendments, and I'll turn that to Alice.
Okay. Your first budget amendment is for services on aging. They have received donations from Duke Energy Progress and Eastern Carolina Council specifically for Operation Fan Relief. This is done every year, and it will be used to purchase fans for senior citizens that may not have access to them or to sufficient air conditioning. We have a budget amendment for social services in the amount of $8,725. This is to reallocate funds from their direct service allocation to professional services. This will be used for legal expenses for adult protective services and child protective services. Our next budget amendment is for the sheriff's office totaling $1,000. This is to anticipate funds and appropriate funds for maintenance and repairs of vehicles, and this is insurance proceeds due to a vehicle accident. Okay, we have another budget amendment for our debt service, anticipated debt service. We are requesting to move $4,804,318 from the general fund balance to capital reserve fund balance. This will be used and set aside to pay on our future debt service payment that we anticipate securing in the spring of next year.
And just to remind the board, this was the tax increase that we did last year in anticipation for the capital projects that we have. We wanted to make sure that those funds were set aside specifically for those capital projects and for the debt service that will be coming up, probably issued next year.
Okay. Our next budget amendment is for the sheriff's office. They have received $122.84 in controlled substance tax monies. We have a budget amendment for the workers' comp fund. We are requesting to anticipate general fund balance of $250,000 and $344,000 in workers' comp fund balance to move it to the workers' comp fund. As you all recall, this is a self-insured fund. We have had several claims that have been settled in the last, I would say, few months. And so these were outstanding claims that we'd had for a while that have been resolved. And so we are increasing our premium for next year for workers' comp so that we can build that fund balance back up. So this should resolve what we need for the rest of the fiscal year. Okay, you have a budget amendment for the tax office totaling $9,890. They are requesting to move this from professional services to postage. This should get them through the rest of the fiscal year. They have had an increase both in the cost of postage and in the volume of documents being mailed out. Okay, your last budget amendment is for, I'm sorry, not your last one. Your next budget amendment is for EMS, requesting to reallocate $9,060 from other medical supplies to service and maintenance contracts. They had an increase in the contract with their linen company, and they do believe this will cover them through the rest of the fiscal year.
Linen company being,
The company that services all their bedding and sheets for the stretchers.
which we used to get it from the hospital for nothing, and they changed their,
I
Years ago.
believe that's
hospital.
correct.
the hospital changed their,
Right.
I think
Probably
we're the
about
only one,
5 years.
I understand that we might be one of the only ones in that system that's having to pay. May want to check on that.
They working on that, trying to get that changed now.
And then it went to the hospital.
Yeah.
That
it was
we're gonna get
originally
it, we're gonna get the linens back from the hospital?
No,
That was a quick no.
no. We closed down the laundry service quite some time ago.
I understand that part, but the problem, what I'm getting at is we might want to check on, see if we're the only county that's having to pay for linen services for the EMS.
I do know Dave is working on that.
And by the way, they were making money with that laundry. Go ahead.
Okay?
Okay. This time, your last budget amendment for the sheriff's office, totaling $15,228. This is insurance proceeds for damages to a vehicle. It was deemed to be a total loss, so they are replacing that vehicle, which is why you see it being allocated to our capital outlay line item. That's all I have for you.
Ooh, okay. And item 4?
Motion to establish a Board of Adjustment public hearing on July 19th, 2022, on or after 9:30 a.m. in the Commissioners' meeting room on the 4th floor of the courthouse atrium here in this room. And I'll turn this over, the next 3 or 4 over to Barry.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, yes, we are asking that you hold a public hearing. Since this is a solar utility facility that requires a special use, this board will sit as the Board of Adjustment for that and hold a public hearing. So it is what they call a quasi-judicial hearing. So anyone who speaks will be sworn in, there'll be testimony. But we do have quite a bit of information related to this that we require. As part of this process, we do send notice out to Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. We have received comments back from them, which will be included in your special use. And there will be representatives here from the solar utility facility to present formally to you as well. This is a 1,700-acre solar farm, so it is rather large, the largest one so far in this county if it gets approved, down in the Indian Springs Township. So with that, if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions of Barry? Okay, we'll move on to 5.
All right, the next one I have, Lion Estates. This is a preliminary plat. It's a subdivision. Of course, preliminary plats are the first of the process, so there are no improvements in place. This is just their start to get permission to move forward with their detailed planning work. So again, as with all preliminaries, this will come back before you as a final plat once the construction is complete. This is out on New Hope Road, right before you get to LaGrange, to the Lenore County line. as you're heading east. It is on the north and south side of New Hope Road, so New Hope Road does split this subdivision. There are a total of 187 proposed lots with this.
Whose fire district is that in? New Hope's or
This
Grange?
is New Hope.
It is in New Hope's district?
It is New Hope, yes, sir. But then this property, there's no floodplain that'll impact any of the lots. There's no zoning. The average lot size is 19,155 square feet. The minimum required is 15,000. Planning Board has reviewed this request and recommends approval.
Does somebody blow that up? What, is that like a ravine, or is that like a green area on both sides where the drive's going across? Yeah, right where you...
Just says open space.
Yeah, no, they have some areas that were not suitable for septic, so they're designating those as open space.
Okay,
So they're
gotcha.
just setting some large areas aside for just to keep open as open space.
Gotcha.
They will have a homeowners association that they'll designate that to for continued maintenance.
What sanitary district is that in?
Eastern Wayne.
This is, that's right, Eastern Wayne.
I need to ask, did the planning board have any concerns with these lots that are going to be backing right up to the railroad? And the reason I say that is that close to the railroad tracks, is there any disclosure that is going to be made to the individuals buying these lots that there's a railroad right behind them?
Right. Yeah, and when the final plat comes in, when they record these lots, of course, that'll be noted on the plat itself when they purchase those. But we do send this to North Carolina Railroad. We didn't receive any comments back, but we'll send it out to them again when the final plat comes through as well. For
I'm
them to
not that
receive
concerned
comment.
about the railroad. I'm concerned about the people that be
Right.
buying and living there with a train that goes through there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there ought to be something there noted on those individual buying those lots.
Right, and we can, it'll be noted on the final plat that there's a railroad back there. It'll be designated, it'll actually be noted on that plat, that survey, so when they buy those lots, it'll be actually on there. But we can make sure that it's in large enough print that it's noticeable.
Yeah, most people are not going to go and look at the plats, what
Right.
I'm trying to say.
Right.
I mean, they need to be noted at the time of purchase
Right,
that there is a railroad there.
right.
To be sure, they can see the railroad track.
Yeah, and, you know, in terms of.
Well, that may be some,
yeah.
there might be a tree line
Is there
there.
any restrictions that, the railroad's got more power than the federal government. Is there any restrictions that the railroad would have with lots joined butting up against them?
Not necessarily.
They've got their right of way per se. I mean, it's,
Right. And we do require buffering too. I mean, you know, but
Okay.
if it's already cleared and, you know, you put in a buffer of trees, of course, that's not really going to do a whole lot. But we do require,
25-foot setback.
Yeah.
That's all.
yeah. And that's our minimum setback as well.
I understand. I'm just, again, 25 feet, when that train goes through at 5 o'clock in the morning and blows that whistle, I'm telling you. I just want to make sure that just we have proper disclosure.
slave on
Okay.
the rock blocks that way.
Also, Barry, on that, right there where he's talking about, that street that goes down to Stubbs out, that does not have a cul-de-sac.
Right.
The land adjacent to it, is it suitable for septic?
Oh, the land back there. Part of that land is suitable for septic, so there's the potential that it could expand at some point in the future.
Okay.
But they are doing temporary turnarounds.
So they're gonna do a
it would be-
temporary, okay.
Yes, sir, they do show that. It's hard to see at this scale, but they are going to do some temporary turnaround there.
Okay. Any other questions?
I do have one question,
Yes, sir.
not on this one. On homeowner, or HOA requirements, why would they make a, homeowner that you couldn't put a fence in, any closer than 4 foot from the property line? So basically you're gonna have an 8-foot area. Is there a reason for that? Is there, like, I think it's, what's the one on, Bartlett Road?
Oh,
Stone,
Stone Bridge.
I think that's it. I was out there yesterday and the lady told me that and I had never heard of that.
Yeah, the county doesn't have a requirement related to that, so it would just be individual restricted covenants.
Okay, so that's
In a subdivision, so that's, it. Basically, when the developer, before he sells lots, he'll come up with a list of restrictions that everybody has to abide by, and that's where those get put in. So sometimes you do see that, where their setbacks and their requirements are going to be more strict than the county. We can only enforce what our ordinance says.
So if they don't comply with their ordinance, that's on the HOA, not the county. Don't come
That's
back on the
right.
county, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
And good luck in getting to abide by the ordinances.
All right, item 6.
All right, the next one, Prestonwood, this is a preliminary plat. This is actually back behind Goshen Medical Center, if you're familiar with Adair, the Adair development off of 70 in Rosewood. This is an extension of that. This was proposed several years ago, but has since expired. There are 48 lots. There are 48 lots proposed that'll connect in to that development back behind Adair Place. This is what they call a cluster development, so the lots are clustered together and they have open space. They do plan to use sewer for this development, which allows them to cluster lots together. The design has not changed since the first approval. I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. For this, this is in the RA20 zoning district. There is no floodplain, and the planning board did recommend approval for this development.
Did you say they're gonna use sewer?
Yes, sir.
And the sewer's going where?
Fork,
Which
would be
goes to?
Goldsboro.
And Goldsboro's got an issue with sewer issues, and we're adding residential sewer.
Okay. Any questions?
I'm one like this, that I know the sewer's going to Fort, then it goes to Goldsboro. Does the city know that this is going on?
The Fork, they have been in conversations with Fork. Fork has allocation, I guess, for a certain amount of sewer that can go. And so that is, this is part of that.
Okay, that being said, what you just said, they've got allocated sewer. So Fort's got a certain amount that they have bought or whatever, and I guess like Fremont bought.
Right.
So when it comes to the percentage, the 87% or whatever the sewer thing is at, and I'm not throwing darts, I'm just asking, does the allocation, is that part of the 87%, or is it the daily pumping that's going to the system is the 87%?
I understand it's a daily.
So the daily is 87%. So when we add more subdivisions or businesses or whatever to it, then that jacks to 87%, more potential to jack it up even higher, correct?
Correct.
Potentially.
So if we keep approving plats that are requiring sewer, are we potentially going to put Goldsboro sewer system?
But on the flip side of that, if I'm Fork and I have an allocation that I've already purchased and that you've given me, as long as I'm under that allocation, that's what I would be concerned with. And then above and beyond that, that's the city of Goldsboro's responsibility that they're going to have to deal with.
Okay,
So,
They shouldn't be
Yeah.
allocating.
right. If I've got capacity in my
yeah.
allocation to give capacity, just like, Fremont had, then that really becomes an issue for the city of Goldsboro, not anything that has capacity under their current allocation.
yeah, but what I'm getting at is, it's an issue for the city of Goldsboro, but it's an issue for us because economic development, so basically the
Right.
Goldsboro Business Park,
Right.
or whatever we want to call it, the one on Paytown Road. If they put a building in there that's going to require sewer. If we put if we add the pad ready side, if we start putting sewer on that, I mean, what I'm saying is it just drives the piece up, and we got a responsibility as well. to make smart decisions. Just because it's all thrown back on the city, you know, we're responsible for getting part of that, or
But
making
like
part
with
of
the
that
Gulfport
issue.
Industrial Campus, they're the ones that approved the allocation to move forward with that.
But technically, if it's allocated to
Right.
them, they could sue the city of Goldsboro if they didn't provide them with this service. That's why they bought it. So, technically, it's nothing that we can do about it at the end of the day. They probably could come and sue us if we didn't approve it because of that.
Well, I'm not saying, Dr. I'm just saying we need to make sure that we understand that
Right.
we keep
Everything that we add
adding to the
is
sewer
costing.
system.
We're
It's gonna-
contributing to Goldsboro's problem.
One thing is you don't see a lot of sewer projects coming through this board. This is the only one I've
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Right, I'm just throwing that, yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying don't approve it, I'm just saying we need to be mindful that we might be attributing to the,
I'm surprised they let a child to it.
exactly.
Okay.
And again, this is just a preliminary plat, so they will have to do their detailed work coming up, as they decide to move forward with this development. And that includes working with the Water Authority, their plan designs, and getting formal approval for that as well through them. So again, this is just preliminary at this point.
Okay, any more questions on that? Okay, we're moving to 7.
All right, and the last one I have, I believe, is Gander Lake Phase 7. This is a final plat. This is out Pikeville-Princeton Road, right at the Johnston County line. The first phases, of course, are in the front. This will be in the back, so you really can't see it from Pikeville-Princeton Road, but it is back there. There are 83 lots that they are putting in on 49 acres. This pretty much will finish out Gander Lake. There's one small phase that they'll go come in the future to do a road connection in the back where they might have a few lots. But this is the last, what I would call major addition to Gander Lake. All the improvements are in, so since this is a final plat, they have constructed the roads, the utilities are in, fire hydrants are in. We do have a built to standards letter from DOT that states that the roads meet their minimum construction standards. Planning Board has reviewed this proposal and recommends approval.
Me and other Commissioner Aycock rode through there the weekend. That's a small town in there almost.
Yeah, it is.
And a lot of these houses on the back side are a whole lot larger than the ones that's front.
Okay, any questions? Thank you so
All right,
much.
thank you.
All right, thanks, Barry. Next, number 8, motion to approve work authorization number 3 for the design and bidding for the Wayne Executive Jetport Stormwater Improvement Project. And again, this is for the project that we approved to use ARP funds for the stormwater issues that we're having at the jetport. And this is for the design and bid part of that with all our engineering firms. WKD. Thank you. Just had a brain fart. So, but that's number 8. Number 9 is motion to appoint Commissioner Aycock to Barbara Aycock to represent the Board of Commissioners at County Assembly Day. And Commissioner, are you planning to?
I've had something come up, I can't get there.
So if there's anybody else that would like to attend County Assembly Day, it really is just an opportunity to meet with legislators and talk about issues and really connect with other counties as well. So if
Is there
anybody's interested.
anyone else?
What's the dates on that?
That is just Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 14th.
I can't go.
Anyone else?
I'll go.
Okay. So we're changing that to appoint Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner who?
Williams. And then number 10, motion to adopt resolution 2022-17, a resolution allowing Hale Artificier to provide a fireworks display for the town of Pikeville, pending approval by the Wayne County Inspections Department. And again, this is just following our process for approving fireworks to be discharged within the county.
Okay.
Then number 11, motion to adopt resolution 2022-18, a resolution of the County of Wayne declaring its official intent to reimburse expenditures under United States Department of Treasury regulations. And I'll have Allison.
Yes, so as you know, we have done these before in anticipation of borrowing the funds. And we've done one for each specific project. This one will be used for the Wayne Community College amount that we are allocating as part of our debt proceeds. They do have invoices that are starting to come in, and we want to make sure that we can reimburse those from our debt proceeds when we do secure the financing.
Okay. And again, this was part of the $58 million that we were planning to borrow that was in last year's budget.
Yes.
So as we're advancing our dollars, once we do borrow the money, we'll reimburse ourselves?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Number 12, motion to allow Mosley Architects proceed with a full design schematic for the DSS Health Department building as recommended by the Facilities Committee. Chairman, did you want to say anything?
Nothing other than the fact that Ryan and the team has worked real hard and got our design. At this point, we're ready to go to full design. And so we need the authorization of the board to go ahead and proceed.
Did we look at that?
Do what?
Did we look at that?
Yeah.
We met on that? I didn't know we'd done that.
Yeah. We did it at our last meeting.
I thought I saw some stuff.
And we gave him authorization to make some final adjustments, which he's done.
And we've got the square footage to
80,000 and some change.
Yeah, 80,800.
We had to move the building back. Yeah. It's about
The
81,000.
key word there is reductions.
Yes.
But again, that allows us to go ahead and start design and construction drawings, and so we can go ahead and get it ready for bid.
Okay.
What did, I'll ask that later. Go ahead.
All right.
Then number 13, motion to adopt resolution 2022-19, a joint resolution between the Wayne County Board of Commissioners and the Wayne County Board of Education in support of House Bill 983, certain schools needs funds. And again, this is a joint resolution with the school board looking at Brockton Middle, Dillard, and also Goldsboro High School for specific funds to be allocated from the state for improvements to those schools. And this was approved by the Board of Education 7-0 last night.
Okay, any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you say the money is coming from the state?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do we know the amount?
25 million.
25 million, yes.
Okay, any other questions?
So this is a resolution to adopt.
To support.
Support,
Okay.
right. As a, saying that this is something that both the school board and the Board of Commissioners is fully supportive
So
of.
the money's not there yet.
It's not there, right? We're just making sure they know if we
Make sure
can
we
get
make
it,
that-
we
Say
want it.
that loud and clear. The money is not here
The
yet.
money's not there. If we can get it, we want it.
Right, exactly.
And once the money is here, it will be earmarked for these particular schools.
Yes, sir.
Any checks and balances in place to make sure that happens.
This resolution, and I think also the bill is specific to Dillard, Goldsboro High, and also Brockton.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Quick question. When we have someone do the schematic design, is that placed out for bid also, or it's just automatically, most of the time, mostly that does that?
Well, they have the contract for the full DSS and health.
I'm saying when the contract was given to them, was that
We
placed
did
out for
bid it out,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, sir, we did. A whole RFQ process.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And then motion to approve canceling the July 5th meeting, since that'll be the first meeting that I will not be here. It's a morning period, so.
A morning period.
I can understand that, so I fully get that, and,
I had never looked at it like that.
I did.
It could be a joyous occasion, Ruth.
You could be having a party, you could be having a party one way or the other, so, but a motion to cancel that, July 5th meeting. And then number 15th, is a resolution for Juneteenth, proclamation, National Freedom Day, that Commissioner Williams, has recommended.
And we're getting that drawn up as we
Right.
speak.
You already have
Got it.
You should have it.
I didn't get it.
But she didn't pass it up yet.
Oh,
Did you get it?
You passed it down.
You all get it.
I got it.
How many you got there?
I probably got the rest of it.
Kind of stopped.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
I said, excuse me, because I said I didn't get it. It's
Okay,
there.
good enough. All right.
and
I
then,
was just picking on you, Commissioner Lee.
Thank you.
and then, under new business, discussion of motion to approve North Carolina, Southeast Product Development Fund application for a pad-ready site funding. Again, the North Carolina Southeast has received $4.7 million for economic development, and we're asking for $262,000 to look at a pad-ready site over at Park East.
That's all we got out of 4.7 million?
That's our allocation.
Oh, okay.
That's,
So
it's kind of split equally.
18
yeah.
counties.
If somebody else doesn't take the funds, I guess
We'll take
we
them.
can go back and ask.
Yeah.
But again, they kind of spread it out equally among the 18 counties.
I understand.
And we'll need a motion on that. Commissioner Aycock, would you like to make that motion, Barbara?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
And then we have public comments, county manager's report, Board of Commissioners Committee report, closed session. Then we will need to recess this meeting as we have our quarterly meeting with the municipalities at the Maxwell Center scheduled for noon. And then we can adjourn from the Maxwell Center.
And do we have an agenda for that meeting?
Yes, sir, we do.
Great, okay.
Kayla actually has those, so she'll pass them out over there before we get there.
And again, the agenda, just real quick, is the director of the North Carolina USDA Rural Development will be here to kind of talk about their programs and grant opportunities that they have available under USDA.
And you'll be making that introduction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, we've got a little time here. We've got some items we wanted to take up in closed session, and if we can, I need a motion that we go into closed session at this time.
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion to go into closed session for?
For the purpose of consulting with your attorneys to preserve attorney-client privilege and to consider the qualifications, performance of public officers.
Okay, got a motion to go in closed session. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Okay, we're in closed session.